My Month with a Billionaire, episode 23, y'all. Please, everyone, subscribe to my YouTube because TT is just being so glitchy lately because of the merger, especially in the US, and I am trying to figure everything out. So please, so you don't miss out on anything, make sure to go to my YouTube and subscribe there as well. So we have left off, and I have just received this beautiful, gorgeous baby pink beauty, and I am feeling like maybe I can find it in my heart to forgive this diabolical man. I'm like, Taj, oh my God! And I literally scream so loud that Reggie jumps out of bed and she's like, what is it? And she wears an eye mask. And so her eye mask is on. And my little Mexican princess is ready to throw down. And I'm like, I love you, girly. You're always ready to go down for the clown. And she just is like, what is happening? She takes off her mask and she's like, what is it? And I'm like, sorry, Reggie, Taj, Reggie. I introduced them. He's like, hey, sorry, I have like a bunch of other appointments. I gotta go. I'm like, get out of here, King. Thanks, you left me with the goods. And I think that it is going to be a great day. And she's like, what is it? I'm like, girl, look. She screams, I scream. We're jumping up and down. We know it's going to be a good day. And she's like, girl, you got to forgive him. I'm like, I know. I'm like, let's order some room service. And then I'm going to read this note. So we order a ton of food. We order eggs and bacon and omelets and salads and fries and some Bloody Marys because we are hungover because we got super hella champagne Izzy drunk last night. I just love a Diet Coke. And I'm looking at the note, and it is one of those generic thank you cards. On the outside, y'all, it has a little hummingbird because I've talked about loving hummingbirds so much. And I'm like, oh, all right, let's see what this man has to say, y'all. I look, and the note just says, hi, your presence is already missed at the house. Love, Harley. I'm like, that's pretty cute. Man of very few words, but you know what? We are trying to figure it out now. I'm like eating my food. Reggie, she has to leave because she actually goes to school at Pepperdine. And so she's like, hey, I got to eat and I got to leave. I'm like, you go, girl. We eat. We have a little tra-la-la. She leaves. And then I have my freaking nice ass food. I'm like, all right, time to enjoy the fruits of the labor of this wonderful hotel. So I walk downstairs and I go and I book an appointment so I can get a spa treatment that day. And then I walk over and I just start walking on the treadmill. And I walk on the treadmill for maybe like 30 minutes. And then after my food has kind of digested, I use the machines, do a little pump action over here and some stretching. And then I go over and I'm ready to go get my massage. I go into the spa. I get a nice signature Thai massage with the stones. And I'm thinking that maybe this is the life for me. And maybe I can figure out a way if this man can make the change, right? I get my lovely treatments and go upstairs so that I can take a shower and get ready and everything and figure out what I'm going to do with the day because I don't have any appointments for that day, but I was just planning on doing some work and filming some stuff at the hotel, filming some content and replying to some emails and everything. And I get a text from Carol and I didn't even notice I had a missed call from her. And she was like, oh, hey, can you call me? So I call her and I'm like, hey, girl. And she's like, hi, Miss Kate. I'm like, hey, girl, how's it going? She's like, are you doing anything today? And I was like, actually, I'm just relaxing at this hotel and just kind of doing some work here. She was like, hotel? I'm like, it's a long story. And she was like, okay, well, I was wondering if Mr. Harley was wondering if you could come over and keep him a little company today, maybe watch a movie with him because I have some back end work to do. And we were just wondering if maybe you want to come and spend a little time with him. I was like, oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I'm not far. I'm over in West Hollywood. I can definitely do that. She's like, okay, great. I'm like, yeah, I'll be over soon. I grabbed my laptop because I was like, I'll just do some work over there as well when I go and hang out with him. And I kind of gather up my stuff and I throw on a just little simple black tank top and jeans. And I grab my white Balenciaga. Carol sends me the address and I make the windy road up to the Bel Air mansion. As soon as I pull up, y'all, I see Harley's Lambo. I'm like, oh, Harley's red ass Lambo is here. I'm like, looks like he's here. Was this a trap? Is this entrapment? I walk out and I had actually stopped to get a couple sweets from this cute little bakery that's in Beverly Hills. It's called Lauderay and they have macaroons and I love macaroons. And me and Harley's dad had talked about how much we love macaroons. So I went and stopped and got him some. Knock on the door and the door opens and there's little Miss Carol and the housekeeper. I give her a hug. I'm like, I brought macaroons. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, Mr. Harley can be so thrilled to see you. And I'm like, where is he? And she was like, oh, he's out in the garden. And I'm like, oh, okay. I haven't seen the backyard. And she's like, oh, I need to give you a little tour. I'm like, yeah, let's go see the yard and then you give me a tour after I go and see him. She walks me through the big foyer, y'all. You walk in through. Everything is obviously marble flooring and stuff. There's a living room on the left side, and then there's a huge kitchen in the middle, and on the right there's what would be called like the maid's kitchen and a huge pantry. You can see that the style of the place is very like old school Bel Air. It's more traditional and it's gorgeous, but you can tell it's kind of like been there for a while. All the doors are like slat doors like this, so all the windows on the doors are like this. Do 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 do. You know what I mean? Like that. Diamond shaped. And I look through the diamonds and I just see tons and tons of flowers, roses, different colored roses. There's a huge garden that kind of goes around like this. In the middle, there's a koi fish pond. And on the left side is a pool. On the right side is where the tennis courts kind of wrap around. And in the very back, there's another like little back house area. I mean, it is ginormous. This property is freaking huge. I walk out the door, and as soon as I look and I see old Mr. Harley sitting there in his cute ass little wheelchair, and he's facing the water and the koi fish pond, and who's next to him? Daddy Harley. I'm like, I was thinking I was gonna take a break from this man, but I guess not. I walk out, I'm like, hello. They both turn, they're like, hey. And he's like, oh, there she is. Harley's like, hey. I give Harley a hug, and I lean over and I look at Mr. Harley, and his eyes, y'all, lit up. He was so cute. He was like, hey. And I go, hi, remember me? And he goes, yeah, of course. And there were times, y'all, where I was like a little nervous. I'm like, is he always going to remember me? You know, I was like, oh my God, you look handsome. You look lovely. He was dressed very cute. He's always dressed in a sweater because I guess he gets pretty cold easily. But this time he was wearing a blue Lacoste sweater that had some red detailing and some khaki pants. And his hair was like combed over his white ass hair. And he was wearing little glasses. And I was like, he's like, have you come to watch a movie with me today? I was like, I've come to have a whole play date with you today. And he was like, really? I was like, uh-huh. Carol comes out and she's like, Mr. Harley, come on, I'm going to take you to the bathroom before you sit down with Miss Cat so that you can be uninterrupted and then you guys can have snacks together and stuff. He's like, okay. So he gets wheeled inside and I'm just standing out there with Harley. And I'm just kind of looking around. I'm like, wow, must have been really fucking tough growing up here, huh? He started laughing and he was like, yeah, I mean, it didn't suck, but this place, I'm just used to it. Just feels like home. I'm like, I get that. He looks down at my wrist and he was like, I see you got my gift. And I was like, I did. And if you think that bribing me with this rare Van Cleef bracelet is going to get you back into my good graces, then you're absolutely right. And he starts laughing. I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. I mean, this is very good step in the right direction, sir. He goes, wow, you are a tough crowd. I was like, look, this is a great gesture because you know that I love gifts. However, we need emotional maturity and we need emotional validation. He was like, I know, I know. He was like, I slept terribly last night. I looked at my ring activity and I slept so terribly. I was like, I'm sorry. And he was like, yeah, I guess I just got used to having you around. I'm like, I haven't even been around that long. He was like, it feels like you've been here forever. I'm like, it does, huh? He was like, no, but like in a good way. He's like, I just feel like we've known each other for a really long time. He's like, thank you for coming over to hang out with my dad. And I was like, did you have something to do with that, Harley? He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, did you know that I was going to be here? And he was like, of course I knew. And I was like, and did you plan to be here as well? And he was like, I know what you're talking about. And I was like, okay. And he was like, no, I actually can't stay very long. I have to go back and meet Dana. I was like, where is old Dana Pants? Like, she's not here. And he was like, oh no, she actually had to run some errands for me and I'm going to meet her at the office. So we took separate cars. I'm like, wow, you guys can be apart. He just like nudges me and he was like, but I really appreciate you being there with my dad. How's the room that you're staying in? Did you have a good time with your friend last night? I was like, yeah, it was great. And he was like, yeah, Taj said that you were really grumpy that you woke him up, but then you completely changed your mood when you saw the bracelet. I was like, you know that I'm not a morning girl. And he was like, yeah, I know. So do I get to see you at home tonight? And I was like, I don't know yet. And he was like, wow, you're enjoying your space too much? I was like, it is nice. I was like, the pendry is nice. He was like, well, I know that Kristen misses you. And I was like, I miss her as well. And he was like, okay, well, I would really like it if you came back tonight. I was thinking about having Chef Drew cook like a family dinner for all of us and me, you, Kristen, Marie and Dana and everyone at the house can all eat together. I would really like it if you'd be there for like this family meal. I was like, okay, I will definitely be there for the meal. And he was like, okay, great. He gives me a quick kiss and then he walks out and I go back in to hang out with Daddy Harley. Harley's dad is sitting at the dining table that is over next to the piano. So in the opposing room for where he usually is sitting at. So remember you walk in, there's like the little foyer entrance room. On the left is where you usually see him sitting and he's watching TV and he's got stacks and papers and everywhere. And on the right is the dining room that's got the piano and lots of all the family photos. And he's just sitting at the dining room, sitting there eating some soup. And I walk over, I'm like, what you eating? And he was like, clam chowder. And I was like, ooh. The housekeeper's like, oh, would you like some? I was like, I love clam chowder, absolutely. So I sit right next to him and I'm just asking about what he's been up to. And he's telling me that he has been watching The Walking Dead and if I've seen it. We're eating the soup and he just looks at me. And it was interesting because it was like something in his eyes changed. He was staring at me and he just goes, hey. And I go, yeah? And he goes, let's go to Vegas. I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, I'm tired of being in here and I want to go to Vegas. What do you think? I said, well, I don't know if we're allowed to do that. And the nurses and nobody was in there. Like Carol, nobody was in there. And so I'm like, we're gonna have to ask Carol. And he was like, screw Carol, she's no fun. And I'm like, well, she is the one that makes sure that you stay alive, taken care of, fed, burped, pooped, and bathed her. And he was like, why don't you give me my bath today? And I was like, are you being perverted? And he was like, no. He was like, I want to go to Vegas. And I was like, we can't go to Vegas right now. Like, I don't even know if you're allowed to travel. And he was like, why wouldn't I be able to travel? I was like, I'm not really sure, but when's the last time you traveled? He was like, Vegas. And I was like, and when was that? And he was like, recently, last week. I'm like, really? Last week you were in Vegas? And he was like, yeah, with my friends. And I'm like, your friends? Which friends? And he's like, yeah, for my boy's bachelor party. I'm like, you went to a bachelor party recently? I'm realizing that maybe he's remembering something else. So I'm like, well, maybe we should just think about like now, right now in the moment, because I really want to watch the movie with you. He goes, no, I want to go to Vegas. And I said, okay, well, how about this? We'll watch a movie and then we'll see if we can go to Vegas later. He goes, no, I want to go to Vegas now. I was like, Mr. Harley, are you getting cross with me? He slams his fist on the table, Harley style, and is like, I want to go to Vegas. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get Carol. I rush over to the kitchen and I just hear him banging on the table. I run in and I'm like, Carol, I need you. And she's like, what's going on? I'm like, he's yelling about Vegas. And she's like, oh God. She runs in with the housekeeper and his assistant. This man has now flung the bowl of hot, perfectly good clam chowder on the ground. He looks at me and he was like, you bitch, you're going to take me to Vegas. This sweet man yelled this at me. So yes, y'all, this is a new side of Harley's dad that I haven't seen yet. The dark side of Alzheimer's. And my heart goes out to anyone that has ever dealt with this, or a family member or a friend or a loved one, because it is very difficult, I'm sure, to see someone that you love deeply and have known in another capacity, personality, or era of their lives that you've seen this through. So this was definitely a new one for me. Episode 24. How we're going to deal with his outrage. More things with Harley. Am I going to go back to the Mansion of Madness? And so much more. I love you when I see you. Big hug, big kiss.